Really, I think a quorum, I hate to say it, would be,
It's four.
yeah, a quorum would be four.
Has
Mhm.
anyone talked to Carolyn Parker? Do we need to call her?
I have not, yeah, how about call Ms. Parker? That would be,
Here, I can call her real quick.
that'd be
Thanks,
good.
Philip.
Hmm. Yes, we have a couple of things we need to vote on.
I got a meeting with Wagner tonight, Julia.
What?
Wagner Terrace. They
How's
got,
that gonna go?
I don't know, they got tons of questions.
Still about the concert venue?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
No, where's Dale?
Oh,
What happened?
he's been
Those
answering
kind
my
of things.
emails. He's been good.
Well, they're asking, and what's going to happen to our flood mitigation and blah, 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 blah. So I'll play it by ear.
You always do that well.
I'm going to try. Ah,
didn't, didn't Councilmember Pell on, still on,
nope.
no? Okay,
Mm-mm.
he was.
He's smart.
Hmm. Committee,
He's not on very many committees.
Miss Parker's coming. Councilwoman
Okay,
Parker's on her way.
I think,
good.
see, it's committees like this that keep you from snorkeling in your community. What are you talking? Just got the Peachtree project completed.
Yes.
Julia, you said Councilmember Parker was coming. I wasn't able to reach her.
She just texted.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll go ahead and start recording.
Let's do that. We can,
Here she's coming online right now.
all right, great.
I'm here. So sorry. Technical
Not a
difficulties.
problem, not a problem, Ms. Parker. Welcome aboard. I'd like to say hello and welcome everybody to the July meeting of Public Works. I'd like to, Councilman Gregory, why don't you bring the invocation?
Why don't we just take a moment of silence?
And keep in mind the tragedy that was omitted, the assassination and the prayers of people who were lost and injured. And please keep Councilmember Boyd Gregg and his family in our prayers for the loss of his father.
Amen.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of July 17th.
So move.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any questions on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Acceptance and dedication of rights of way. Who's that going to be? Is that going to be Mr. O'Brien?
Matt, you want to take the first two?
Mr.
Can we
Fountain?
take them all together?
Yes, sir. It is. Councilmember Gregory, the first two were just drainage easements that Matt, one is in conjunction with a project at 1074 Morrison Drive, and the other is with the St. Andrews Center, as there's just those are easements that Matt and his staff have negotiated. Matt, anything special you want to add on those two?
I can certainly chime in as Mr. Bryan mentioned. The first item is basically the development at 1074 Morrison, giving us some additional public drainage easements over existing drainage discharges so we can continue maintenance. The second one, near and dear to Chairman's heart, is for the East Oak, West Oak Forest outfall. It's another one of the easements to help maintain and improve that outfall system. This one from the St. Andrews Center Shopping Center.
And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gregory, The next two are subdivisions, portions of subdivisions which have been constructed, inspected, and accepted by the city, Carolina Bay School Site, and then South Station, which is on Johns Island. And we're recommending that those streets be added into the city's maintenance system.
I move for approval, Mr. Council Member.
Properly
Mr.
moved.
Chairman.
Thank you. Properly moved, and do we have a second out there? I can see the hand signals from Councilwoman Parker saying she seconds the motion. You're on mute, Councilman. Oh, okay,
He knows.
okay. I do want to call attention to number 2, Mr. Fountain. A lot of hard work on that, and congratulations. That's going to hopefully pay benefits for a lot of people in East Oak Forest. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now, Mr. O'Brien, temporary encroachments.
Sir, since it's a summer meeting, we do have quite a bit, but they're all standard. We have some fences, irrigation, some right angle signs, and all have been inspected and recommended for acceptance as drainage, encumbrances and things of that nature. And again, this is just for information. They all are temporary in this occasion.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. G1, environmental update. Are you going to do that?
Yes, sir. Just very briefly, the most exciting news is by this Friday, we have 2 additional ASL automatic side-loader garbage trucks, which we'll be receiving into the fleet. That'll give us now 7 total ASL trucks, which will allow us to have some backups, which is great. Those arms, sometimes can be maintenance issues. So we'll have 7 total trucks in the fleet. Our electric garbage truck, which we were expecting in October, is probably going to be delayed till almost the end of the year due to some construction issues in the manufacturing with the chassis, but nothing bad. It's just delays in the manufacturer, but we'll still look to get that by the end of the year.
Anyway, thanks for your update, and thanks for keeping the trains running on time, Mr. O'Brien.
Yeah, so we got some great staff up here, especially during this heat. Our men and women that run, they're out early, and hopefully we try and get them in early before the big heat. But they do a great job, and our collection rates are still very well, and we're very proud of the work those crews do.
Okay. All right. Ms. Parker, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. And I think I have it fixed. Yeah, Brian, I just wanted to say, I know that one of the crews on the island, I know one of their trucks is down, and I saw them and the young men on the back of that truck. I mean, this is not an easy job, y'all. This is a big piece of our city, in my opinion, and these guys and gals, out there in those trucks in this heat. I just want to commend them.
Pass that on to them, Ms. Parker. Thank you.
And whatever we can do, to support them, I mean, in this heat, please just let us know.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Is there a point, Mr. Chairman, question?
Sure. Councilman Gray.
Is there a point, Mr. O'Brien, when the heat gets at a certain temperature that you can shut it down?
Mr. Gregory, what we do with that is every day, every morning in our safety meeting, we stress, especially recently, Rick Markowitz has been giving the heat advisories and keeping us updated on that. So what we've just asked our crews to just, anytime they feel they need to take a break, please stay hydrated. And we've asked our supervisors in the field to just keep close tabs. But we never really shut down the operation. We just asked them to kind of slow down. But we work very closely with safety, with Rick Markowitz, and ask our supervisors, like I said, to make sure that everybody's staying hydrated and take breaks as necessary to keep the collections going.
Okay, because that heat index is unbelievable. It's 118 in Mount Pleasant today.
It's incredible. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Chief 2, discussion regarding Turkey Pen Road. Mr. Fountain.
We received this request from Councilmember Parker. I don't know if she'd like to say a few words.
Okay, Ms. Parker.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Yeah, this was brought to my attention. Turkey Pen is one of those multi-jurisdictional streets. Town, county, everybody lives on the street. So the one half of Turkey Pen was paved. It was turned over. I was able to speak at length with the county about this. So at this point, I think we have another course of action. Since we have I believe we only have one city resident on this street, I think we're going to go in another direction as far as, the right of way, getting that turned over. Maintenance, although maintenance is their main concern. I mean, they would like the road paved, but maintenance is a big concern. And I know that we have, other private roads that we've turned easements over to, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. O'Brien. So I just didn't know. I'm just asking for them. I mean, they mainly the brush along the road, things like that. Is there anything that the city can do? The county will not do it because it's a private road.
The portion, according to the city records we have, the portion of the turkey pen that is paved is the private portion. The unimproved portion is the portion that's actually, I think it's in the town or the PSD. We actually, due to an agreement that the city entered into with Charleston County several years ago, we actually perform maintenance on that road, and that means we blade the road under our normal schedule with our motor grader. As far as cutting, we don't really have the ability to do any cuttings. And it's been a while since I've been out there. I have to check. I'm not sure if it's just open ditch or swales or anything. I'll be glad to check into that to look and see. But we do grade the road, and as far as the paving, it's since it is in another jurisdiction, we would possibly, working with Mr. Somerville, we could potentially look to the county and see if we could add that as a project under their paving, and if that would be the desire. But other than that, I think would be our only option.
Okay, yes, sir. And that's where, I'll just leave it at that with this committee, is that my hope is that this committee and the city will support it. Hopefully the town can move forward with that TST application for that paving. That sounds like what the county said would be the best path forward. But yeah, so I appreciate you looking into this, and if there is anything we can do outside of that maintenance, I know that those homeowners would be very appreciative. And I know that it's it's just one of those complicated ones on James Island, and I like to be proactive rather than just point fingers. So,
well, I'll speak to Mr. Somerville, and I'll get with Michael Mathis, his deputy director, and we'll see if we'll lend some support in any way we can to make that happen.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, H1, stormwater management update, Mr. O'Brien, Medical District Tunnel Extension.
That's Mr. Fountain. I'm gonna let Matt take that.
I'm sorry, I looked at Mr. Okay, thank you, Mr. Fountain. I knew that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is the item that we've discussed updates and information about this one for the last probably 6 to 9 months as we've been working through this part of the construction with the contractor. We've been waiting for some actual costs on certain items. Finally, I've gotten to a final negotiated change order price, $779,000 on this $12.5 million construction contract. As we've discussed previously, and I can go into it in any level of detail you'd like, this is primarily related to the conditions of the marl, which is the geologic layer that we tunnel through, behaving differently than it had been anticipated by the contractor, and then conflicts with a electrical duct bank in the medical district where it had been located with subsurface utility location potholing prior to the project, but it turned out that the duct bank basically is in the shape of a letter T, so it was located on the exterior corners, but they didn't realize it had come in and then continued deeper. So that required some redesign on the project in the middle of the project, which caused some delay and additional cost. They were able to complete a redesign that maintains the full functionality of the system, which is the good news. So this is a change order for $779,000, and it adds 357 days to the contract, which was the additional time. Of course, the contract is completed at this point. Other than the change order work, we've completed construction, are closing out the project, just had our ribbon cutting for the project with the governor coming down, the HUD office and the state SCORE office is the first successfully completed project under this HUD CDBG funding program in the state of South Carolina. It's one that they're very proud of. We were highlighted on SCORE's last newsletter as how successful the project was and what a great partnership it was with serving the Charleston area and the obviously the importance of the medical district. So happy to fill in any details.
And if I might add, it's really it's an extension, and that extension will affect over 400,000 patients that come to the medical complex and 25,000 employees. So in terms of getting your bang for your buck, just simply extending the Septima clog drainage system is going to have an unbelievable effect on our medical district. And I'd like to applaud Matt and his staff for identifying the CDBG dollars from SCORE in order for us to get a partial payment for it. Because what did we put, $5 million in it, Matt?
That's right, Councilor Gregory. We have about $5 million of city funds and about $10 million of HUD CDBG MIT funds.
Okay. Now that 779,000, is that in addition to the 5?
That is included within the existing project budget. So it's not within the construction, it's in addition to the construction contract, but within the budget amount we had set as a council.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to formally thank you and your staff. And I'm sure that you weren't there, but Dr. Cole, as well as the governor, was extremely ecstatic for what this project is going to do for the medical district. Thanks again.
Yes, I was on vacation that week, and the governor's schedule is harder to work around than my schedule, so we prioritize his attendance. But it's been a great teamwork partnership project between the state, the medical district, and the city. It's what we really are striving to do as a city, is bring out all the different entities together on great projects instead of kind of pointing fingers at each other.
And right now it's gravity controlled, right?
That's right. It is tied in and fully functional for gravity through the Spring Fishburne Septima Clark drainage project. If you've been through that West Ashley corridor recently, you'll see the steel superstructure going up for the pump station. So that is
I see it
on pace to be pump served by early 2026 at the very latest. Okay.
Just a quick question. It's off this subject, but I'm going to a meeting tonight. And while the peach tree outfall will affect 100 acres in our community, it is not going to have an effect on the Gordon Street creek bed, is it?
That's right, Councilor Gregory. That Peachtree is 100 acres of Wagner Terrace. Gordon is that next watershed down. We do have another outfall cleaning need in Gordon that will have improvement there. We have a number of them, as a number of the council members know, in their districts as well. So that one is still on our list of other projects we need to get to, but it is not directly served by Peachtree.
Okay, because I was over there today and talking to some of the neighbors, and that was their question. Are we next? And I told them we're looking into it.
They are one of the next grouping. We have to figure out which ones will advance. I know there's a number of council members who have need for outfall cleaning, but they are part of that next grouping of outfalls that are in the priority list.
But that creek bed is unbelievable over there. I mean, it's really seriously a river. But
it is a very low area, so those outfalls are very important. That's right.
Okay. I'm going to give you a call because I want to also talk about a few other projects over there, especially behind the church over there. Okay, I'll call you.
Sounds good.
All right. Congratulations all the way around. That pump house, how long, I mean, if you estimate, how long before that'll be finished and the pump's actually installed?
Yeah, the project is on schedule right now, Mr. Chairman, for a completion on schedule for a completion by very early 2026. There's always the potential for a slip on a project of that scale, but knock on wood, so far they have been on pace through the first 8 or 9 months of the project.
And where the slippage is due to the availability of the pump, isn't it? Because we were scheduled to be finished in 24.
So that was the original slip before they actually started construction. So before we started construction of the system, obviously we went through COVID and some serious logistics issues. So there was some delay in starting that next project. There was some slowdown in the phase 4 project, which stayed on budget, but was slowed down pretty substantially. The contractor who's been working on phase 5, knock on wood again, has been able to stay on schedule. We've had some really good work with them, worked around a couple of minor issues, but they're making great progress so far on schedule for that early 2026, barring another pandemic or global slowdown in infrastructure, which we would like to avoid.
Okay. All right, let's entertain a motion on this one, on H1.
So move.
Properly moved and
Second,
seconded by Ms. Parker. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we've got a need a motion to go into executive session on discussion on the Windermere, I'm sorry, drainage improvement project. We just dealt with this from a real estate perspective and acceptance of a grant in real estate, so approved unanimously there. So we have a motion to go into executive session.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
second,
Properly moved in second. All in favor of that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question before we go into executive session. Given what happened at real estate, do we need to go into executive session? Can you give us a report on what happened at executive session? I mean, at real estate?
I can.
That'd be great. Rather than going to executive session, it'd probably be good to just see what's happening.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the experience we have on this committee is just outstanding.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a couple of, I'll tell you, Mr. Fountain, why don't you explain the grants that were received from the state and otherwise? And I don't know if you still have that explanation of the you still got the maps where the improvement's going to be?
The graphic I have would be an executive session graphic just because it has the
that's
confidential information at this point in the process. But I can certainly describe the project. I can pull up a map very quickly.
You know what, I tell you what, since you asked, and this is the last item on the agenda, let's go into executive session. I think it'll be beneficial to see some of the information shared in executive session. Because this is an area that was so low. It's kind of reminds you of some of the places on the peninsula that was a marsh that was filled in and houses built upon. It floods perennially over there. Actually,
I can show a quick map, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like, and without that information and show it. And it's enough to, I think, give a quick.
Good deal. All right.
Let me do that very briefly. Okay.
You know, sometimes the area is so low, you throw your hands up thinking, wow, there's no solution. But smart engineers thought outside the box on this.
So this is the Windermere Shopping Center, kind of in the large parking lot section of the screen.
Did you pull out the library?
Yeah, the library is in the corner here.
Okay.
This is Folly Road on the side of the page, Wesley coming into Folly. And then the school is just over on the edge here. It's kind of the old Windermere neighborhood.
All right,
so we are looking, this is William Ackerman Road that comes south here to a marsh outfall. Most of the drainage for this whole sort of old, sorry, not try to make everyone sick driving here, but most of the drainage for this old Windermere section of the neighborhood comes down to William Ackerman, flows out to the marsh here. Actually, some of the other side of Folly Road also comes under Folly and flows out into the same marsh outfall under William Ackerman. We are looking at a major drainage improvement project, capital project, called the Windermere Drainage Improvement Project, to upsize the pipes that are under William Ackerman. There's currently a relatively small pipe with a number of utility conflicts. There's a lot of utility in this corridor down William Ackerman that kind of makes a lot of conflict challenges. In order to install the new larger pipes, we are looking at acquiring some additional drainage easement along the frontage of the road of William Ackerman through these three properties, which are the TMS numbers on the real estate committee agenda item. Those would just be acquiring portions of the front yard to put buried pipes in, and then basically the yard would be returned to look very similar to what it does today. There'd just be an improvement in the ability to convey water out of that system. We also, as part of this project, the Greenway sits here. As part of that project, we're installing an additional culvert down the Greenway, working with CWS. The Greenway, as most of you are familiar, is a piece of CWS owned infrastructure that the city leases the top of for the bike path, the walking path. The reason CWS owns it is a very large amount of their water and sewer infrastructure runs under the Greenway. So we're working with them to fit a box culvert that will divert about half of this upstream water away from that limited William Ackerman path down the Greenway in kind of a reverse grade direction into the rear of the school here. We worked previously with CCSD. You can see the easement on this map to obtain an easement kind of through the rear of their parking lot because they also have an interest in seeing this neighborhood be more passable for buses and for people trying to get their kids to school in the morning. They've been a great partner to work with on the project. So there's also a section of property we need to acquire here, kind of under this power line in the rear of this lot, looking to basically bring our pipe over across the connector road here prior to the intersection to avoid some of the CWS infrastructure that's underground. Again, we're looking just at buried piping, no surface impacts, likely all drainage easement. So the presentation to the committee was just sort of highlighting that as the chairman mentioned. You look at elevations in the area, red being the marsh. William Ackerman is mostly in this very, very low brown to yellow, only about a foot or two above marsh level. Very, very low, very wet. You can see kind of the Windermere neighborhood here has kind of a very low lying area, looking to improve the ability to get water out of that. That was just my quick summary, Mr. Chairman. If you have any questions, I can touch on any of it in more detail.
I think it's fine with me. Any committee members have questions?
Yeah, Mike, I have a question, not specifically about this project, but in general.
Mhm.
How much of the 84 study helps you guys with what you're trying to do?
That's interesting. This was in the 84 study, as I understood. So in 1984, this was pointed out, that needed to be a fix over there. And
Yeah,
2024.
You're exactly right, Mr. Chairman. I would say that the 84 study is generally helpful for areas that were within the city in 1984, which is not necessarily the current limits of the city, and especially as you get into outer West Ashley and James Island, Johns Island,
Right.
Dano Island. But in those areas, it does a very good job of showing where are there flooding problems from undersized infrastructure. The sort of proposed improvements were relatively, back of the envelope style calculations at the time. Not saying that they're wrong, they just weren't very. They were doing the whole city, so it wasn't quite that same level of aggressive sophistication. But it does give a great starting point for looking at an area and saying, okay, this section has been identified as the infrastructure being too small. There are flooding problems. Here are some ideas of where those constrictions might be. Then we go back and do additional survey work, build that stormwater model. Normally, we'll start with some of the recommendations for potential improvement from the 84 study and then try some other approaches to see what the best kind of cost benefit approach is. So it is helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other input from committee members? Well, we're not in executive session, so let's entertain a motion on this one, please.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved, and these seconds are getting hard to get.
You're still on mute, Caroline. Just raise your hand.
Yeah. Seconded by Councilwoman.
Quick questions.
Sure,
I
Parker.
don't know what happened in real estate. So what is the cost, or what are?
So that's the component that we sort of went through in executive session, Councilor Parker, of looking at some of the options for potential costs and just some information about the appraisals. That the motion for action at council will come through that real estate committee item. I'm happy to talk to you about it in any level of detail. For this committee, it was more just an awareness, since it's a drainage project, that what's happening and that it's going, because it comes through a different committee than this committee. So it's a little bit unusual because of the acquisition. So they gave the right basically for us to acquire the property is the action item. And then when we come up with final sort of purchase and sale agreements for those easements, we'll bring those back through council again to get approval on the final dollar numbers.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. That's all I was
Yes.
wondering.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely. All
second.
all good questions. Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I know y'all like to stay until 6, but it's 5:35 and we're all in unless there any final comments.
I got a neighborhood meeting anyway, so.
Well, I think you ought to go and tell them you we don't have those concerts at Hagen City.
They don't seem to be focused on that one. In Wagner
I know
Terrace.
they were at a time.
Yeah, Hampton Terrace, yes, but Wagner's not. Seem to be, yeah. And I'm not bringing it up if they don't. Right, Julia?
That's right. Only answer questions.
Yes, you taught me.
All right, great. Well, listen, if y'all get a chance, please reach out to Councilman Gregg, because like I say, he was close with his father. And as I said, I knew his father since I think 8th or 9th grade, something like that. Just a really good man. Outstanding. Anyway, keep him in the prayers. Beyond that, by acclamation, we stand adjourned.